Welcome, Franklin County residents, and thank you for tuning in to the candidate forum for Franklin County Magistrate District 1 Democratic primary election held on May 17th, 2022. I'm J.C. Young, and I'm honored to serve on the Chamber of Governmental Affairs Committee and your MC for this event. The office of magistrate is difficult to define. The men and women that serve in these roles wear a plethora of hats. They're expected to be economists, meteorologists, architects, attorneys, agriculturalists, public figures, and the list goes on seemingly forever. As you all know, the primary obligation of a county magistrate is to serve on fiscal courts, and fiscal courts in Kentucky hold an immense amount of responsibility. Amongst many other duties, fiscal courts have the authority to enact ordinances, issue regulations, levy permissible taxes for the purpose of statutory obligations, appropriate funds for county roads, provide for the incarceration of prisoners, fund and hold elections, and oversee the operations for the county in many public functions. The office that you're seeking was created in the 1792 Kentucky Constitution, and it's worthy of candidates such as yourself. In this candidate forum for the 1st District Magistrate, we're honored to have Miss Sherry Sebastian and Miss Katie Flynn Hedden. Before we begin, I'd like to thank and recognize the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce, the Frankfort Plant Board, and our historic newspaper, the State Journal. Serving as our esteemed panelists and moderators, and those doing the real work in this function, are Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Tish Shade, Chair of the Chamber Government Affairs Committee and Frankfort Plant Board Communication Director Kathy Lindsay, Editor of the State Journal Chanda Vino. Candidates will have 2 minutes for opening remarks, 1 minute responses to questions with 30-second follow-ups if asked by a panelist. We have a timekeeper, and I would ask the candidates to be respectful to this process and pay attention to the time allowed. We had a draw prior to the forum, and opening remarks will begin with Ms. Sebastian. 2 minutes.
Thank you. I want to thank the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum and the Frankfort Plant Board for televising and the State Journal for covering this. My name is Sherry Sebastian, and I was elected 1st District Magistrate in 2018. Working for you as your full-time advocate, I've learned a great deal about our city and county in that time. Prosperity across our community is key, and the prosperity of small business and relationships with the Chamber of Commerce both play an important role in that. I know firsthand how our mutual goal of supporting the interests of small business in a thriving community exists. Small business puts food on my table. As my husband, Michael Moore, a native Franklin County with deep community roots, operates a family business with more than 70 years of serving Frankfort, Franklin County, and surrounding communities. And our youngest daughter works at a small Frankfort business while attending Western Hills High School. I value a healthy, productive community that delivers services to all of its citizens equally and fairly. A strong community requires interaction with our citizens, which I do daily, listening and working to bring attention to their needs, whether it's public infrastructure, health and safety, better employment opportunities, or understanding the elements necessary for a strong economy. As a magistrate, and like the Chamber, we both share the desire to build a healthy economy that can survive the ups and downs of times that we're in now and focus on improving and sustaining the quality of life that we have in Franklin County. As a magistrate, I am charged with allocating funds to make all those things happen. Economic development, including small businesses, educational partnerships, building roadways, etc. Yes, there are challenges, and there are endless possibilities for improvement. My job is to listen and understand your issues and needs and bring solutions forward. I chose Franklin County as my home in 1987, and I've lived the entire time in the 1st District, whether in South Frankfort or off of Nineveh Road. It's my honor to work with and for you, and I ask for your vote and support on or before May 17th to do so. Thank you.
Ms. Hedden, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you again to the panel and everyone for allowing us this time and space to allow this to be broadcasted to our voters and our people in this community. I'd also like to thank the local Franklin County professional firefighters for their recent endorsement, and to all the amazing support I've had along this vulnerable journey of sitting up here and trying to get back into a elected position within our community. My name is Katie Flynn Hedden. I am married to Mike Hedden, who is a small business owner as well. We own Buddy's Pizza downtown. We're going on our 16th year of owning that. I'm about to be the mother of twin daughters. They're about to be 15 years old this year. It's crazy to think how fast time goes as you're raising children. I'm a graduate of Frankfort High School and a graduate of Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida, with a degree in sport management and fitness management, where I studied facility design management for 4 years. Note that, recreational facility design management, okay? And then after that, I graduated, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, decided law school wasn't what I wanted to do. I went to Jefferson Community College and I got a degree as a physical therapist assistant, and I'm also a trained licensed massage therapist. I help people overcome pain and promote healing daily. I work with mindset, performance, strategy, and promotion of self-accountability, preventable, acute, post-injury, or surgery. I work in healthcare. So with that, coming out of this pandemic, I have what it takes to help promote, facilitate, and generate a new attitude and tone of our fiscal court, one of unity, togetherness, teamwork, mindset to help represent our community's needs. Our community has discussed the same topics for decades: empty storefronts, growth, smart growth, whatever you want to call it, infill development, stormwater utility. Yet we're still talking about the same things. They've had time to get things done. I'm running to be the voice to help change that.
Our first question comes from the State Journal. Chandavino. It's going to be directed to Mrs. Hedden.
Yes, good evening, ladies, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm going to swing for the fences on the first question here. Do you think it's time to revisit the issue of merged form of city-county government? And what benefits and drawbacks do you see toward a merged government?
Yeah, great question. So, yes, I do think there's always an opportunity to talk about merged government. However, it's not passed twice in this community. Yet looking at our departments, I think there is a time and a place where we look at working together. For instance, I do think that we do need merged parks department. The city parks already takes care of most of the maintenance already at Lakeview Park, while the county basically runs just the golf course. And they fight for the same grants, and they're fighting for the same money. So why not go ahead and merge our parks department?
Ms. Sebastian, 1 minute.
You asked the question about merged government. So, yes, merged government has been reviewed here by our community a couple of times in 1988 and then again in 2004. Overwhelmingly, both times, our community has rejected the idea of that. Yes, it's certainly that's something that could come up on the ballot, but it is an issue for the ballot. It's not an issue that elected officials make a decision on. It is most certainly an issue that individuals should speak their mind and be very clear about. I have read a variety of studies across the board, as I've been asked this question frequently, and those are arm's length think tank groups who have reviewed merged government across the spectrum in the United States. They have come back overwhelmingly and said that there are increased costs when you do that through personnel, through expectation levels of service. So it is a challenge and most certainly something that the community should voice its opinion on if it would like to have it on the ballot. Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay, you're sorry.
I think
Go ahead,
Chad has follow-up.
Got it.
As a follow-up, many of the efforts by city and county offices are redundant. Developers and builders are frustrated going between offices and adjusting to different roles. The Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Adjustments are joint city-county. The county inspectors are assisting the city. Do you support a joint city-county planning and zoning office?
We'll start with you again.
Simply put, absolutely. And I also believe that there needs to be deadlines set when somebody comes in and you're trying to open a business or trying to figure out if you want to open a business here or if you want to develop something here, that our staff should have timelines like a 72-hour turnaround or at least within a week. People come in and they try to do something and there's empty time, which time is money wasted when you're someone who wants to try to develop something. And we need to be more proactive on our end with, sorry, I got the stop sign.
Ms. Sebastian, 30 seconds.
Yes, I do think that there are a variety of services that the community enjoys the benefit of by collaborating across. Lakeview Park has services. There's automatic aid. There are a number of things where we are already sharing services. So certainly this is something that could be looked into and should be looked into because we're already doing it on a number of fronts. Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay, question we're going to start with Ms. Sebastian.
Okay. I'm going to ask, what differentiates you from the other candidates?
Well, thank you for asking that. So I moved to Frankfort and was recruited to move here to work for the Legislative Research Commission, which I did in the office of the President of the Senate. Then I was recruited away from that to work in the education branch, where I worked in chief policymaking and budgetary positions. Those opportunities have afforded me a host of skill, a host of building a career to not only serve where I initially served in the federal government while I was in college, served in state government, but I served here in local government. And that has given me a broad breadth of information and a background to draw upon, as well as a number of the services that I've provided through sitting on community boards. So I do think I have a background in budgeting, a background in policy, and I certainly have a background in communicating with individuals, which that is always a key element in any government level position, is being able to communicate and communicate well. Thank you.
Ms. Hedden, 1 minute.
Thank you. So I work in healthcare. I work with patients every day. I work with the ability of having people above me, as well as a boss, to ask questions to and to ask for time off and things like that, just like most employees. She comes from a management side, of which I think when it comes down to looking at both of us, we're both very qualified individuals for this position. Yet it comes down to what I think is a personality type and the tone that you want to represent you as a taxpayer, as a citizen, as if you want a micromanager, or do you want an egalitarian approach to doing business and to working together as a board member?
Next question from Ms. Tichet.
So what will you do specifically to ensure that the court works together more efficiently and effectively than in the past, meaning the magistrates versus the county judge executive?
That was for you.
I think when it comes down to looking at what's been done differently in the last couple of years, obviously things have shifted to Zoom and now kind of shifting back. So that relationship with the public seems to be disconnected, right? So we're working through a screen versus you showing up face to face. And I think bringing that back, whoever you vote in is going to have to work on, being in person again and working together. At the same time, before a meeting happens, previously as a city commissioner, you can email and discuss topics or something that you want to bring up versus spending 3 extra hours trying to bullet point everything that you want to bring up and again, micromanage staff and hindering the ability to get things passed, waiting months on end versus things that could have been done months ago.
Ms. Sebastian, 1 minute.
I find it unusual that the question comes that magistrates are not working in concert with the judge. The fiscal court all works in concert. And what they work in concert for is the development and growth of this community through health and safety, through infrastructure. And we have taken over 1,000 votes since I've sat on the court. In that amount of time, I've taken less than 20 votes that have been differing than my colleagues. So that is a huge percentage of, and everyone brings a perspective to the court. They get information from their constituents, and as the voice of my constituents, those are the positions that I bring to the court every time when we are voting on matters that affect the county. Thank you.
Ms. Chandavino, this question will be directed towards Mrs. Sebastian.
Are you in support of the current Lakeview Park plan? And how do you think the Lakeview Park upgrades should be paid for specifically?
That's a great question. And when I was asked that earlier, and certainly I'm on record as making a vote. I'm on record for making votes for almost all the things that you've asked about. Yes, I'm in support of the Lakeview Park plan. I most certainly see economic growth coming out of that. I see opportunities for our family and our community to grow. I see opportunities for infill. If you look at Eastwood Shopping Center, there are very few filled stores there. Once the Lakeview Park Master Plan is fulfilled, I seriously think that additional businesses will be looking at that opportunity for infill. I certainly think that we had an opportunity to have a financial analysis accompany the plan. That on a procedural move was removed. However, we are now in the process of pulling in a consultant study. And what I want to do is look at that study, because by no means am I a statistical modeler or economist to know what would fund that. But I think there are outside resources to do so. Thank you.
Said 1 minute.
Could you ask the question one more time? I'm sorry, just to clarify.
Are you in support of the Lakeview Park plan? And how do you think the Lakeview Park upgrades should be paid for specifically?
All right. So, yes and no. Do I think that we need a park here, an indoor recreational facility here? Yes. Is Lakeview Park the plan that I think that we need? No. And I don't think that's the location that we need. I think this needs to be a collaboration with the city. We are two governments in one community. And if the city's also looking at their master plan to build something, we should be working with them at the same table, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for this. Because at this point in time, I don't know how we're going to pay for this facility, much less if the city's going to make one too. And I have city voters and county voters, and the city voters are going to have to pay for both of these facilities, while the county voters only have to pay for the county part. So I think there does need to be more collaboration that's going on within the fiscal court and the city commission in order to get a better facility for everyone.
Mrs. Lindsay, question for Ms. Hedden.
Okay. What specific actions would you propose or support to create jobs with family-sustaining wages in our community?
So you're asking me how to create jobs in this community, of which every business in this town has job opening signs on, right?
Correct.
The jobs are there, the people aren't.
Okay.
Ms. Sebastian, 1 minute.
That's a fantastic question. So over a year ago, I wrote an economic development plan, and I addressed how we build sustaining wages. One of the opportunities that Franklin County is blessed with is the opportunity to participate in the Legends and Legacy Scholarship Program at Georgetown College, where our students through fall of 2029 can actually go to college tuition free. So that's an opportunity for individuals to gain education. The governor has a plan through his workforce skills program that there's an opportunity to go and get skills outside of additional funding that you may have gotten from post-secondary education institution itself and other facilities to fund your capacity to come back to this community and build jobs. Because one of the key things is we are on an interstate. We have every available opportunity to draw from more than 20 post-secondary institutions around us to bring individuals in to actually fill the vacant jobs and to create more jobs here in our community. Thank you.
I have follow-up.
Follow-up.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. And I guess this is going to be to Ms. Hedden.
Yes, it starts
Okay.
with Ms. Hedden.
Yes.
She has 30 seconds.
Okay. What are some things that our city leaders in the fiscal court can do if we, with a lot of job openings that we have and the lack of workforce evidently that is in our community? What are things the fiscal court can do to help our businesses get more employees?
Well, I
Fill these jobs.
I do firmly believe that our economic development right now is in tourism. And I do think it would be important for us to hire a tournaments director, of which we as a community starts to host more tournaments for whatever sport it is. If it's disc golf, if it's track and field, if it's mountain biking, if it's tennis, if it's pickleball, whatever the sport is. Bring the people here, let them see what we have to offer, and then people decide, hey, this place is pretty nice. Let's move here.
Ms. Sebastian, 30 seconds.
So I've spoken to some of the things that we most certainly can do by collaborating not only with scholarship and grant programs that are all around and benefit our community, but also in regard to what our leaders can do. There was an economic development task force that I was actually put on with members of the city, and I think the city opted to pull out of that. But I think we need to get our organizations back at the table to talk about those things, because there are a variety of ways where we could pull in community groups to assist with that as well. Thank you.
This question comes from Tish Shade and is directed to Ms. Sebastian.
Okay, there are many needs in our area. As a member of the fiscal court, how will you handle requests for funding, and what are your priorities for investment in our community?
I've sat on a number of boards, everything from the YMCA board that supports families and youth to the Franklin County Council on Aging that supports seniors, the Resource Office of Social Ministries, where individuals may be falling through the cracks. So a lot of these things that I already have familiarity with, they come to the Franklin County Fiscal Court. They come to the City Commission seeking additional funding so that they can fill in the cracks where there are service gaps. Priorities for assisting our families, that is critically important, because through the pandemic there were a number of individuals who were unable to continue to work because of child care issues. And I think that is a key component of attracting individuals to live here and creating the family sustaining wage, is to deal with child care. I think that is a huge issue. So a lot of these organizations that we fund are directed at families and assisting them as they start to fall through the cracks, and give them the support systems that they need to be contributing citizens to our community. Thank you.
Ms. Hedden, 1 minute.
I got a little distracted with her answer, by the way. Could you just ask the question one more time so I can answer it? I'm sorry.
There are many needs in our area. As a member of the fiscal court, how will you handle requests for funding, and what are your priorities for investments in our community?
All right, so in regards to as a fiscal court member, you would have all the department heads, at least, every July 1st, make their budgets, and they come through and decide and let you know what they're going to need for the next year, so that you have a plan of what to budget for, what to not to budget for, what do we need, what do we not need, and go ahead and set that plan up so with each department that we fund. When it comes to ourselves too, I think we also need to looking at our policies, right? I firmly believe that there's a lot of revenue that we don't get based on technology that is not caught up with policy that is written. For instance, Airbnbs that are popping up everywhere, which we collect nothing on as a county or as a city. Like, you just come stay in our town and you don't have any extra fees. When I go and stay somewhere, there's always extra fees, but it doesn't stop me from going.
Follow-up question?
So,
we're going to start with Ms. Sebastian.
Yes,
30-second
and
follow-up.
Ms. Sebastian, you mentioned childcare. So we all know that that's a big issue in our community. Give me one example of something that you would like to implement to help with our childcare issues.
I think one of the key things that we all saw during the pandemic is individuals working at home. And a number of individuals saw that through their pocketbook, by working at home, they had to make the balance of, is this more profitable for me to continue to work and or go pay for childcare when I go back to the world of work? So by recruiting corporations that will help allow us to have more opportunities to work from home, I think that's going to be a key benefit to automatically to the bottom line in regard to families with childcare needs.
Ms. Hedden, 30 seconds.
Childcare itself is its own business. After raising my own children, paying twice for everything at once, it's very expensive. And it was very hard to manage that financially as two working individuals with the fees that go out. So what happens is you create debt, right? And as an individual, you look at that. And post the pandemic, you wonder how many people realize that cost isn't worth it, where I could work 2 or 3 smaller jobs, still getting $20 an hour, that I don't have to pay for childcare during the day. One person works day shift, one works night shift.
We have time for one more question. It's going to come from Chandavino. We're going to start with Ms. Hedden.
Okay, this question comes with a disclaimer.
Okay.
It's yes or no, and there's no dancing around it. The fiscal court is responsible for promoting economic development, and to also preserve our unique historic natural resources. Do you support Buffalo Trace warehouses locating in Peaks Mill?
1 minute.
You only want yes or no.
Well, you can explain your answer, but no dancing around, yes or no.
Here's what I don't support, is that a lawyer can come in and try to make a text amendment to a policy that's existed that I think is what I'm seeing that someone's trying to do. And once that policy gets put on, and that amendment gets put on that part of the planning and zoning, it stays, it becomes law. And for any other rural agricultural development program that wants to develop can slide right in based on whatever this text amendment says. So, I don't support the text amendment that they're trying to push through with planning and zoning.
Ms. Sebastian, 1 minute.
So I've heard from both sides of the issue, and I'm open-minded to this issue. However, I have a vote on fiscal court. So by answering that question, I'm going to already tell the entire community before I go to a court meeting how I'm going to vote. And we have been told by the county attorney at trainings. Mr. Young will tell you. Unfortunately, I can't answer that question because there could be information not only come to us at a vote, but additional information that comes to us at the time we are to vote that could be considered that is different from what we're presented initially by reading in the newspaper, because the issue hasn't come to us yet, but is supposed to.
We've come time for closing remarks. We have 1 minute for closing remarks from each of our candidates. We started earlier. We're going to have our closing remarks starting with Ms. Hedden. You have 1 minute. Last comments.
All right, thank you. Thank you all for your time. Sherry, thank you as well for being here. Mark, I don't know where you are. Never seen you. Good luck in the race. How our elected officials treat staff matters. How our elected officials speak to tourists, business owners, potential developers, and business startups matters. How your elected official makes you feel matters. Overspeaking, setting up alliances, secret meetings, avoidance of any issue to pass by certain other officials, it matters. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I have a heart for passion. I want 4 years. I want 4 years to make a difference in this community that I grew up in, that my family's from, that my roots are from. All I'm saying is if you're not happy with your local government, give me a chance.
Ms. Sebastian, closing remarks, 1 minute.
All right. Thank you again to the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce, the Frankfort Plant Board, and the State Journal. My name is Sherry Sebastian, and I'm proud to serve as Franklin County's 1st District Magistrate. I'm a hard worker, rolling up my sleeves and being prepared to serve for you every day on every level, putting my hands to work and thoroughly researching issues that are important to you. I'm a listener, meeting with you at your homes and working to bring attention to your needs. I'm a person who believes in strong relationships with schools at all levels, public health, churches, government, and civic organizations, coming together to create the best possible community that we can have. I know that my constituents want fair and livable wages. They want affordable and suitable housing, clean water, and functioning sewer systems. They want to be included in problem solving by having a voice at the table. Being able to understand the complexity of issues facing Franklin County takes time, study, and interaction. I am the person who can do this and has produced results. I humbly ask for your vote to continue this work on or before May 17th. Thank you.
As we close, I would like to personally thank both of you for seeking this office. You've put your name on the ballot, spent your own money, skipped out on family events, only to serve your community, and I want you to know that it's appreciated. You all have done a great job in this forum, and I wish you the very best in this election. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind everyone of the election date, May 17th, 2022. There have been some election law changes statewide since the COVID pandemic. And if you don't know where to vote or how to vote, please call the Franklin County Clerk's office at 502-875-8702 or check out their website. It's loaded with current election information. Voting is a right in this country provided by our Constitution, and I sincerely hope that you honor those that have served and that are serving and exercise your right. It's been an honor to serve as an MC for this event, and I would like to thank all the folks that aren't on camera Also the FPB staff, Frankfort Plant Board, State Journal, and Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce. That concludes this forum. Thank you for joining us.